Hello, my Aloha tribe, and welcome to the Aloha Perspective, where you get a little bit of something and a whole lot of everything. Happy Monday! It is Monday. We have a short week this week, Monday through Wednesday, because it's Comic-Con week for me. Yay! Now I know I promised you the Affirmators deck. I know, but we're going to get to that tomorrow because something came to my attention after the show, in the afternoon on Thursday, and I am none too happy about it. So I consulted I consulted with Sammy, and we're going to do a little bit of a soapbox session here. As you can see, I have a lot of notes. I have a lot of notes. So I'm just going to read through this, okay? A lot of this comes from a USA Today article regarding the subject I'm about to talk about. And then I have some sort of stats. And then I want to finish it up with a Bible quote. That's right, you heard me. Not something normally in my wheelhouse of this show, but we're going to do it because I think it needs to be done. To be honest with you, the majority of the people that watch this show would probably just agree with me anyway. But, you know, I know I need some coffee for this. So anyways, all right, let's get going. As of last Thursday, the special option in the 988 number, 988 is a number that you can call if you are having a mental crisis or in a mental crisis. I have actually had a friend that used this when it was still a 1-800 number. They pulled to the side of the road, used it, and we're very, very grateful, but they were in definite mental crisis. But there was a specialized option number 3, for specifically for the LGBTQ community, but more so the youth, because, you know, there's a lot of kids out there that are afraid to come out, that are afraid to say anything. They don't know how their family's going to react, and they would rather stay in the closet than lose people they love, which I think is wrong if, not on their part, but on their family's part, you know, or their friends. If you're going to judge someone for being gay, you better sure as shit look in the mirror, all right? Because we are not perfect. We are not perfect. My mouth is going to be on the loose today, so if I swear, I apologize. But it's me. It's me. When I get passionate about something, sometimes the words go flying. So I'm warning you now. Anyways, again, we're going to talk about 988, the cancellation of it. Apparently on June 17th, it was noted that it was going to go away in a month. And hi, Allie, how are you? And then, what do you call it? On June 17th, it said it was going to be going away. On July 17th, they officially ended it. And I am none too happy about this administration's doing this. Okay. So, again, the LGBTQ specialized service. Good morning, Muddy. How are you? Okay. So this was a bipartisan thing that was led. And by bipartisan, we mean both parties, because both parties are like, this may not be the right thing to do. So first, so again, this is from USA Today, and I got some stats from the Trevor Project. Okay, the Trevor Project, just so you know, in case you don't want to watch the whole thing, I am so proud of California right now because they are going to be helping the Trevor Project continue to fund their own hotline so that the LGBTQ youth are not left out in the cold, okay, or the LGBT community, period. LGBTQ plus community is not left out in the cold, and that they do have someone, you know, specialized counselors to talk with in their own moment of need. All right. So I will put these things in the comments because in all of my haste, I forgot to write down the number for the Trevor Project. But I just want you to know that. Also on the Trevor Project, if you ever go on their website, they do have something that says if you hit escape 3 times, you are able to it'll boot you out of that particular website, because they don't want people to get in trouble, and it's not always easy to reach for your mouse and click out because, you know, there's nosy people all over the place, right? So anyways, all right. I've said it all. Like I said, I'm going to read through this and then we're going to talk through it. So, Representative Sharice Davids, Democrat, Kansas, led a bipartisan call to restore a federal suicide hotline for LGBTQ plus youth after the federal government ended the program on June 17th, July 17th being its last operational day. This isn't just a phone line. This isn't politics. This is people, and it's a lot of young people. It's people who are trying to survive in a world that tells them that they don't belong and that they shouldn't be here, she said. Davids was joined by 7 other members of Congress, including one Republican, Mike Lawler of New York. All of us here are not going to agree on every aspect of these issues, but what we should agree on and what we must agree on is that when a child is in crisis, when they are alone, when they are afraid, when they are unsure of where to turn, when they are contemplating suicide, they need access to help right away, he said. The federally funded suicide hotline, accessed via the number 988, added the option to speak to a counselor specializing in LGBTQ youth in 2022. The pilot program cost $33 million a year and was operated in conjunction with the Trevor Project, a nonprofit that focuses on suicide prevention for LGBTQ youth. From Trevor Project CEO James Black at a press conference, "Now, I have 3 minutes to deliver my remarks. By the time I'm done, 4 LGBTQ plus young people will have attempted to take their own life. By the time this press conference is over, that number jumps to 40. The Substance Abuse and Mental Health Services Administration, SAMHSA, stated this cutback was due to budget constraints." Bullshit. On July 17th, the 988, this is their quote, okay. On July 17th, the 988 Suicide Crisis Lifeline will no longer silo LGB plus. They didn't even bother with the T and the Q, all right. Youth services, also known as the Press 3 option, to focus on serving all help seekers, including those previously served through the Press 3 option. SAMHSA said it in a press release. As of June 2025, more than $33 million in funds have been spent to support the subnetworks, fully expending the monies allocated for 988 LGB subnetwork services. I'll get back to that in a second. The national hotline has existed. Okay, so this is the rest of the article. And I will post both. I will post the Trevor Project and this article in the comments on Facebook. All the Facebook lives are public, so if you do not follow me or you are not friends with me, you can still find me. Look for me in this dress and the date, July 21st, and you'll be able to find it in the comments, all right? The National Hotline has existed since 2005, but was reformed with the National Suicide Hotline Designation Act signed into law by Trump in October 2020. One thing he did good. It changed the number from a 1-800 to the simpler 988 and directed Health and Human Services to develop a strategy to reach high-risk populations such as lesbian, gay, bisexual, transgender, and queer youth, minorities, and rural populations, according to the bill summary. Okay, so Ali made a very good comment. I will be getting back to that because the line itself has not been shut down. This very specific service has, and that's why I'm doing this show, because I will get back to that in a moment. I just want to finish reading this because there's a reason that I don't think that particular sub network, as they put it, should be canceled. Now, for anybody who thinks, when Sibling first told me this, she thought it was the entire network. It is not. It is just the Press 3 option for the LGBTQ plus community and youth. So let me finish this, and then I'll give you more of my thoughts on that. So it's hard to find words today. Our country's federal government, including the very agency of protecting our mental health, cut a literal lifeline that has provided 1.5 million LGBTQ plus youth with suicide prevention services. It is unfathomable, Black said in a press conference or in a press release on July 17th. And just as a refresher, James Black is the CEO of the Trevor Project. Aha, look at me. I'm smart. I did write it down. The Trevor Project will continue to operate its hotline for LGBTQ plus youth at 1-800-488-7386. Again, that's 1-800-488-7386. And if my brain serves me well today, I will put that in the comments as well. There's also a text line that you can communicate through, 678-678. And a digital messaging service through the actual website. All right. So, let's see. LGBTQ youth are 4 times more likely to take their lives than their peers because of lack of understanding and constant judgment. California stepped up. I'm so proud of them. And they're training their 12 988 call centers how to handle the LGBTQ plus calls. They're working with the Trevor Project to ensure that the LGBTQ plus youth have someone to talk to. So California will be training the people in their 988 centers to handle these very specific and very fragile, in some cases, calls. All right. So this is from the Trevor Project, top line facts and stats about suicide. According to the CDC in 2022, suicide is the second leading cause of death amongst 10 to 14-year-olds and the third leading amongst 15 to 24-year-olds. The Trevor Project estimates 1.8 million LGBTQ young people. Now, what they refer to young people is basically the people between 10 and 24. Okay, or 13 and 24, seriously consider suicide each year in the U.S. and at least one attempts suicide every 45 seconds. Every 45 seconds. The Trevor Project's 2024 U.S. National Survey on Mental Health of LGBTQ plus young people found that 39% of the young people seriously considered attempting suicide in that past year, including roughly half of transgender and non-binary youth. Now, if you tell me this isn't political, I will call bullshit on you. I don't care if you like this administration. I don't care if you don't like this administration. It has nothing to do about them. It has everything to do with human decency and common sense. Okay? When they came for our reproductive rights several years ago, we knew this was going to happen. But now they're starting with our youth. Let me explain something to all those people out there that like to Bible thump. First of all, and I don't mean the Christians that go out there and just love one another, okay? I'm not talking about them. I'm not talking about the people that sit there and don't get controversial, that don't hit people with their Bible. They just go to church, they follow the word of God, they follow the word of their faith, whatever it might be, and they're just good, common, decent people. I'm talking about the people that sit there and they're so afraid of fucking everything that, all of a sudden, oh, gay people are going to destroy the world. Well, the last time I looked, a gay person wasn't arrested for molesting children, but several pastors have been in the last several months. Interesting. I'm a lapsed Catholic, I admit it, but even they had a problem, right? But in the last 2 popes, okay, Pope Francis and now Pope Leo, Pope Francis said, basically, I'm just going to say it in a nutshell. I'm going to paraphrase. He didn't really care. As long as they're worshiping God, he said, it's not his business. That we should just love one another, right? I mean, isn't that the whole point? Meanwhile, all these people who like to go around thumping their Bibles off of people's heads, acting like they are better and holier than thou, you got a big surprise coming for you when you move on to the next world, all right? So, I don't care what anybody says. This is political. They specifically left out the T in the Q on LGBTQ+. Specifically. This administration's agenda against transgender people has been awful. It has been terrible. So what Allie was saying here in her comments is no suicide prevention hotline should ever be shut down. It doesn't matter whether that helpline is for LGBTQ+ or drugs or mental health, etc. They are needed now more than ever. While there are still suicides happening, there needs to be instant help available. I 100% agree. Sammy agreed. And this is why when people say, well, when they sit there and say in their own statement, when SAMHSA says in their own statement that to focus on serving all help seekers, that's not a problem, okay? Because this particular group was being funded by something else. And it was for the LGBTQ youth. It was for the LGBT community. It was for these people that feel marginalized, okay? Whether it's because of their culture or maybe their color, which basically falls under culture, right? There are a lot of cultures that will just shun you, that will just disown you, that will not talk to you. And a lot of that too is religious culture. I remember people saying when when people found out family members were going, well, I'm not going to that wedding. It's like, where do you draw the line? Okay, where do you draw a line? This is your family. This is your family. And I don't care what your beliefs are, you do it. There's a very high profile person that I respect that would not go to her own sister's wedding because she doesn't believe in gay marriage. I totally disagreed with that. This is your sister. This is your family. You do it because it's your family. But this hotline is more than just, it's not going to make your kid gay, okay? A gay kid reads a book about a heterosexual family. They're not going to become straight any more than a kid who isn't intended to be gay in, his DNA is going to become gay if he reads about a kid with 2 dads or 2 moms. Seriously, get the fuck out of here, all right? Because this is so dumb. This is so dumb. These are some of our most at-risk youth. And now they're even more at risk. Because they don't just have a number anymore that they can dial. They can dial this number, but what if they get somebody who tries to talk them out of being gay? Sure, the suicide helpline is there, but that doesn't mean it's going to stop people from having beliefs. Or what if it's somebody who answers and they have no clue how to deal with it? My best friend is gay. He's been gay for longer than we haven't known each other. We met when we were 14. He came out to me when he was 19. I have family members that have come out to me. I have friends that have come out to me. I had a friend who, I only knew her as a heterosexual, and then she went to college, met the love of her life, and she said, well, I'm a lesbian now. Okay, that's great. You fell in love. I don't mind. It doesn't bother me. I had a family member come out to me and say, please don't be mad at me or hate me or disown me, but it's like, I'm gay. It's like, okay. It's like, my best friend's gay, right? That's not news. And then, I am a very proud ally of the LGBTQ plus community, but I've had my own family members come out to me and ask me if I'm gay because I'm single. Okay, I'm single because up until about probably now, I've been incapable of being in a relationship or afraid of being in one because I had a lot of trauma healing to go through. I just didn't know it would take me this long. All right, but whatever the case, this is where I'm at now in my life. However long it took me. I can't go back and change it. I can't turn back time. I'm not Cher. And even she couldn't because she sang about it if I could turn back time. But the point is, a little bit of levity, right? Because this is an intense subject. And you can tell by how I'm feeling that I am not very happy about it. Read my face. Not. I'll be honest with you, I did not know there was a press 3 option on the LGBT or on the 988 hotline. I did not. I guess I should have, maybe. I don't know. I knew there was a 988 line. And I talked about that. In fact, I talked about that at the very, very beginning of this particular Aloha Perspective book. I had it written right there, your it was for Suicide Prevention Month last September. Okay. And just for a little bit, because I did veteran suicide and whatnot. I think the reason this bothers me is it would bother me. I don't care who was in charge of the government at the time. It would bother me because, like I said, I mean, I know people now who, you know, I've met through other people that still haven't told their family that they're gay because they're afraid. They're afraid that their family is going to disown them. And, you know, that's not something they can live with. That losing an entire network of people that you've been around your entire life and that you love, you know, just, you know, being afraid of them just walking away from you because of, you know, the way you're living your life. It bothers me. It makes me very emotional. I'm too emotional and angry to even cry about it right now. But I am angry, as I just said. I am very angry. So Allie says, I used to work as a doorman security at a gay nightclub. I spent about 10 years in that role. People used to ask me if I was scared that my children would turn out gay because of my close links with the gay community. I also said so long as my children were happy, it doesn't matter if they are gay, straight, or purple with pink spots. My daughter is in a lesbian relationship and has been a lesbian for over 7 years now. See? My mom asked me once if I was a lesbian because, you know, I had a grunge phase, okay? I was a part of the grunge phase. And I would wear, you know, when I was, you know, in a little bit different shape than I am now, I'd wear my jeans and my boots and I'd wear a crop top with a flannel. And my mom's like, and my mom actually asked me, and she whispered it. There's like no one else in the house except my dad. But it's like, are you gay? Are you a lesbian? And I'm like, no, why? And she's all, well, because only lesbians dress like that. It's like, yeah, maybe in the 60s, but hello, this is the 90s, lady. So, you know, it didn't matter. It was a personal choice. You know, there are women out there who dress, you know, who for success, right? There's CEOs, they're presidents of companies, there's men, same way, and they're gay. But people wouldn't think that because they dress normal. Bullshit. Okay? It's a personal choice. It's a life choice. Yeah, see, we all bleed red. It doesn't matter what you choose to be. We're all the same. We are human and have feelings. Thank you, Allie. Exactly. And I think that's why this bothers me. Because, you know, our LGBTQ plus youth is so underserved. You know, we have parents who are just waiting for their children to say, I'm gay. I mean, I've known people who have known kids and, you know, they're all like, well, I'm gay. It's like, you know, but they don't want to tell them, yeah, I've known since you were like 10. Bestie's aunt, when he came out to his aunt, we were just talking about this the other day on the phone and we were giggling about it because he came out to his aunt who he was living with at the time. And, you know, he's all like, well, I'm gay. And she's all like, I've known this since you were in 7th grade. So I've just been waiting for you to figure it out or something along those lines. But I was laughing. I was like, and not because it was funny. Well, it was funny, but it was cute because it's like, you know, this is how it should be. This is how accepting it should be, how people should just be okay. These are your children. You gave birth to these people. Okay? I mean, if they're a mass murderer, I would give you that, you know, if you want to walk away, because that's probably not easy either. It's like, oh my God, how could I give birth to that? But you know what? The weird things happen, right? I'm sure people don't intend to give birth to serial killers, but these are kids. They're gay, okay? You know, I mean, it's like back in the 60s, if you brought someone home who was a different color. Older sibling was telling me how she wasn't sure how her Southern grandma was going to take the fact that she was dating an African-American boy, so she would not let him come over. She kind of hid him. That's wrong. But it was the 60s and the early 70s, and it's kind of like, you know. So... Okay, however, I don't agree with coaching very young children to being trans. Children that young do not understand enough to make these kinds of decisions. They should be supported in love. I agree. There is, I don't think in most cases they are coached. A lot of kids just know. One of my favorite trans people I follow is Jazz Jennings. She she knew from very, very young age. I mean, she liked to dress like a girl, and her parents went with it, but they just kind of followed her lead. There was no coaching involved, no, but here's the thing that a lot of people don't understand. Now, I don't know how it is anywhere else outside of this country, but in this country, you cannot have, I'm sure that it's happened here too, Allie, where it has happened, where people just kind of coach their kids for that. That's grooming in a whole different kind of way. When you have been abused in some sort of way, it's a form of grooming. But I would say that most kids that I've seen or followed, there are very specific rules. Okay. If you go through hormonal therapy when you're young, hormonal therapy actually is reversible. A lot of people will tell you it's not. It is. It is very reversible. It can take some time, but it is reversible. And a reason a lot of kids want to start the hormone therapy young is because if they hit puberty, it can cause more problems in their transition when they're older. However, they have to go through therapy before they're even allowed to have any type of surgery. They have to go through therapy. They have to be they have to be able to prove 1,001% that this is something they want, because it is not that easy to reverse the surgery. I mean, it's obviously doable. Since you can do it one way, you can do it the other. But yeah, and Sammy says it perfectly. I feel like the line between coaching and just being supportive is very fine. That's why I love to refer people to Jazz Jennings and her family, because it was they were really a learning curve for all of this. They didn't know what to do, and they sought out help. They sought out people, to say, hey, you know what? I don't know what to do here. Nobody in my family is gay. Like immediate family. And yeah, there are other kids, the grandparents, the parents. But here we have this little girl, or this, who was born a boy, who wants to be a girl, she was very young and, I believe when I first heard about her, she was only about 4 or 5, and she was interviewed by Barbara Walters, and even Barbara Walters is grilling them like, "Are you sure?" And she's like, she would cry and scream. It's like, we dress her up in boys' clothes even after she said no, and she would just come out naked. She would take it all off, but the minute they put her in a dress, she's happy. And sometimes kids just go through these phases. Sometimes kids will, a boy will say, "Hey, I want a Barbie doll," or "I want to wear a dress," and and it's just a phase for them. It doesn't mean they're gay, but the parents will sit there and go, "Oh." When I was growing up, one of my favorite TV shows was the A-Team. Okay. But so I asked Santa for an A-Team action figures and the van that they drove. And, I got 2 of the action figures and a Barbie vet, which, by the way, the Barbies never drove. The A-Team action figures did. I figure, hey, if they're not going to get a van, they're going to drive in the Corvette. Of course, they're so tiny, right? They barely see over the wheel. But when I asked my mom later, and she's all, "Well, because those are boy toys." Hello? Again, proud ally, not gay. Very proud ally of the LGBTQ plus community, of the Rainbow Rangers. But it's stuff like that bothers me. That legit bothers me. I think what Sammy and Allie are saying, somewhere in the middle is the line. I don't think children should be forced into it. I think the parents should just kind of walk this line with them and see where it goes. Because a lot of times it's nothing more than a kid just saying, "Oh yeah, I like these toys." Or "I liked this movie." Doesn't mean they're gay. I love action movies. I grew up on action movies and horror movies. Hello? Boy movies. No. I have an affinity for those things. But yeah, so I like this discussion happening here, because, the trans talk is hard. But the reason I suggest Jazz is because Jazz has had a show, and she has actually come across people who are older, especially men who hit puberty before, because they're probably around my age or a little bit older, and they're unable to, they were unable to transition early because they were afraid of what people would say and what people would think. And because of that, their voices are deeper. They're, there's just a lot of different things. So I have done my research on this. I have a friend who has transgender kids, and it, like I said, it's more of just kind of, it's a journey, I would say. As you know, Allie mentioned, there are people who are coached, and that I think is worldwide. I don't think it's just in the UK. I have heard stories of that with people here. There are like I said, there are very strict rules. I also agree with what Sammy said, that there's a very fine line that can be walked between those. So Allie says, my son used to take a Cabbage Patch doll with him everywhere as a child. He's straight. Toys, movies, etc. are not gender specific. No, they're not. They're not. And I'm glad that parents are figuring that out in the 2000s, because when I was growing up, and when all of us, I'm pretty sure, growing up on here, that was not a thing. At least my mom, I love my mom, but my mom just, sometimes there was no middle, there was no gray area with her. It was either black or white. There was no gray area. And it'd be like, no, those are boy things, and it's like, yeah, a toy is not going to make me gay, Mom. Okay. So, but yeah, I mean, I'm angry. Like I said, I am angry that this press 3 option has been removed from 988. And that's the whole reason I'm standing on this soapbox today, instead of doing the affirmators like we're going to be doing. We will start the affirmators tomorrow, I promise. But every so often, these soapbox sessions are going to come up. And, but like I said, I'm very proud of California for stepping up. They're going to be training their 988 centers, all 12 of them, to handle these, I shouldn't say deal with, to handle these specific cases of LGBTQ plus youth. And again, they are working with the Trevor Project to make sure that the training is, what the youth are going to need. And it's not just the youth, okay? It's just LGBTQ plus community, period. And like I said, they're a very underserved community. They're very marginalized. And like I said, I know there's a lot of controversy that goes with, transgender, under the transgender line. But I have done my homework, and like I said, I do have a friend who has trans kids, and so she's also given me a lot of information. And this is how I know that a lot of therapy has to be done, again, before you can have any type of surgery, that hormonal therapy is reversible. I mean, I'm sure going one way or the other, it can probably upend your body, but people do drugs and it does the same thing. So, well, like Sammy says, Allie says, the option should have never been taken away. I may not be in the USA, but what can we do to try to get it reinstated? What help do you need? I'll be honest with you, Allie, I have no idea. The administration won't supply the money for it. So, good morning, baby bear. So, it's really just pointing people to the Trevor Project and pointing people to their text lines. Now, if you're outside of the US, if you're in Canada, the 988 number is still going strong. I don't know if they had an LGBTQ plus option because I don't live in Canada, but like I said, if you do live in California, they are training their counselors, so you will be still taken care of if you fall under the LGBTQ community flag. And again, with the Trevor Project, you can either text them at 678-678, or you can go onto their website where they do have a chat feature there, or you can call the hotline number for which is 1-800-488-7386. Again, that's 488-7386. It's a 1-800 number. It's toll free. So, so I don't know what other states are planning on doing. It makes me sad to know that kids get bullied and cyberbullied over their sexual orientation. It makes me angry that people marginalize them, that people, will sit there and say, well, gays are bad. Gays aren't bad. You're just afraid of whatever it is you're afraid of, or your head is buried so deep inside of somebody's sermon that you can't see straight. Okay? Jesus, if you are a person who believes in God, okay, now I'm saying this because not everybody does, okay, there are different faiths all over the world, but it's, and there are some religions that are pretty hardcore, about people being gay, and then there's other ones that say, we don't care. I don't think Buddhists care. I think they're just like, yeah, your soul is your soul, and, just go be Zen. I don't know about Hindu. I'm pretty sure, because of things I've read under other things like Muslims and Christians, I think they can be a little hardcore, and I think there's a fine line in there too. But Jesus was basically a hippie. Okay. I don't care what anybody says. People always say, well, that's not God's work. Yeah, it is. I mean, right? If you believe that God made man, then God made gay people. He didn't make a mistake when he made black people. He didn't make a mistake when he made Chinese, Russian, Indian, Mexicans, Filipinos. I mean, come on, Filipinos and Mexicans, we're a hybrid. Okay, we're a hybrid breed. The Mexicans are the Indians in the Spanish, and the Filipinos are the Asians in the Spanish. All right. And then on top of that, I'm a double hybrid because I'm only half. So I'm hybrid all the way around. I used to call myself, I don't know, muddy. Maybe we should stop. We should just call ourselves hybrid now. We'll sound like some kind of alien technology happening here. But I mean, I don't think the creator, if that's how you want to go, if that's where your faith lies, wants to, believes in that. He's just like, yeah, I made all of you and you all can figure it out. But boy, you're fucking it up hard. So one thing I wanted to finish this with, I told you I was going to finish this with a Bible quote. All right. Because all these people out there that like to Bible thump. Now, Sammy is a Christian, so I'm not talking about her. My cousin Jeannie was like, hey, why are you attacking Christians? I'm like, I'm not attacking Christians. I'm attacking these, hybrids formerly known as mutts. We could be hybrid mutts. Let's be hybrid mutts. I like hybrid muddies. But anyways, I know you got to have levity in these kind of conversations, guys, because it gets pretty deep and dark. All right. But here's the thing. I said I was going to finish with a Bible quote because I want to make a point. All right. Now, my cousin's like, why are you attacking Christians? And I'm all like, you didn't watch the whole thing, did you? I said, not all Christians. Look, I don't have a problem with Christians. I don't have a problem with Catholics. I don't have a problem with Muslims. I don't have a problem with Hindu people. I don't have a problem with Buddhist people. I don't. Whatever and wherever your faith falls, if it brings you comfort and it brings you joy, then great. Okay? If you want to be a pagan, more power to you. If you want to be a Wiccan, more power to you. Whatever brings you comfort, joy, and allows you to be a good human, to serve your community. You can be an atheist. I could care less. You can be an agnostic. I could care less. But here's the funny thing. There are groups of people who go so far to the other end that they can't even see the end of the tunnel anymore. And those are the people that I'm talking about right now. Those are the people I refer to when I say Bible thumpers. The people who will hit you with their Bible, but then go and pray like, they've done nothing wrong. So, okay, perfect. Sammy says, I don't feel like you're attacking Christians. You're talking about people who claim to be Christian. I agree. Just because you go to church doesn't make you a God-fearing person. And I don't even, why do they always say God-fearing, by the way? I'm going to shift a little bit into this. Man, I don't fear God. I mean, why are people so fire and brimstone all the time? I mean, seriously, why are people so fire and brimstone all the time? Do you really think God wants you to be afraid? No, people, that's the bad stuff sitting there talking to you. That's all those little negative Nellies and all those little bad spirits wandering around just poking you going, yeah, you should be afraid. God wants you to be afraid. Really? If you are a good human and you are a decent human, I am sure that whatever good place that you were intended to go to, you will go to. But if you're a judgy motherfucker, I'm going to tell you right now, whether you believe in purgatory or not, which is apparently a Catholic thing, you're going there. You are going there hard. That's right. That's me being judgy. And I know I'm judgy. And I know people judge me all the time. But I'm judgy against, you know what? I am prejudiced against ignorance. That's my prejudice. My prejudice is against ignorance and stupidity. And judginess and when it comes to ignorance, ignorant judgments. So Matthew 7:1, all right, the phrase just judge not lest ye be judged originates from Matthew 7:1 in the Bible, which advises against judging others to avoid being judged oneself. This teaching is part of Jesus' Sermon on the Mount and emphasizes the importance of self-reflection and humility in judgment. It is often misinterpreted in modern culture to promote tolerance. But the original intent was to caution against hypocrisy and to encourage love and understanding rather than condemnation. So there you go. So Sammy says God probably wants you to be afraid if you don't do what he said, which is to love everyone. Yeah, you should be afraid if you don't love everyone. You know what? Keep your eyes on your own paper. All right? Keep your eyes on your own damn paper. Don't worry about what someone's doing behind their doors. Don't worry about if you see two men or two women walking down the street being in love. Who cares? Who cares? That's your moment to teach your children tolerance. To show them that, let me put it this way. This changes over time. We start out about this big, okay? Sometimes this big, depending on when you were born. But we get bigger, we get taller. My hair, until I hit puberty, was bone straight. I had Asian hair for 13 years. Then I hit puberty and bam, curls. Okay? That changed. So you're probably saying, what does that have to do with being gay? It doesn't. Just like a person being gay has nothing to do with you. My curly hair doesn't affect your life. My sexual orientation of being straight does not affect your life. So why let someone who's gay affect your life? Are you that afraid that your child is going to become gay just by seeing a gay couple? Come on, get your head out of your ass. Seriously. Probably not the right way to talk to people when you want them to listen, but I'm angry because I am so tired of having this conversation. I am so tired of having this conversation. People should be able to love who they love. They shouldn't have to hide it. They shouldn't be afraid of their family disowning them. If you disown your children because they're gay, fuck you. All right? Some of us didn't get to have children, so if you need a mom, hi, I will be your mom. If you need a hug because you can't seem to get one from people that you care about, I will hug you. Just come find me, okay? Free hugs for everybody. Free hugs for everybody. Because if there's one thing I understand in this life is that we're supposed to love one another, respect one another, and treat one another with kindness and dignity and compassion and empathy. And if you can't handle that, that's your problem. All right? And Sammy says it perfectly. It's like we took 2 steps forward and 46 steps back. Yeah, 45 and 47 steps back. If you get what I mean. So anyway, that's my soapbox for today. I do want to thank, I think I saw Eileen pop on a couple times. I'm not sure. I want to thank Baby Bear for coming on for a moment. Thank you, Allie and Sammy, for contributing to the conversation today. I agree. There's a lot of work that we need to do to just continue to promote tolerance, and not even tolerance anymore. Just encourage love and understanding. When we sit there and say, well, I tolerate that behavior. No, what you're saying is that, you're above everybody else and you have never done anything wrong in your life. It's like me saying, I tolerate ignorant people. No, I just don't deal with them anymore because it's not worth it. It's absolutely not worth it. I can't tell you how many times I almost engage on social media and it's like, why bother? Because they have their own agenda or there's some monkey behind a computer, just typing away like an asshole, being an asshole, hiding behind their keyboard. And I'm not going to contribute to that. I won't. Plus, I don't need people attacking me for any stupid reason because they need to feel better about themselves. I'm not going to give them that power. I'm not. There are enough people out there arguing back with them. If they need to do that, let them. But I need to step out of that because it wrecks my own mental health, and I don't need that. I seriously don't need that. So anyways, so remember, all right, if you do live in California, hang in there, okay, because the 988 centers are being trained along, like I said, in conjunction with the Trevor Project to serve our LGBTQ community and our youth, LGBTQ plus youth. If you are a parent of a trans child, don't make it like it's some kind of cool thing that, you can do for your kid. Read the books, follow Jazz, talk to counselors, and follow the best path. Because, what may start out as one thing may not end up being something else. Just because your kid wears a dress or your kid decides they want to dress like a boy or dress like a boy doesn't mean that they're trans. It just means that they are making personal choices for themselves and deciding what they want to do. Okay, and that's nothing against trans people. Okay, I respect you all because it's got to be hard feeling like you are living in a body that should not be yours. And for all the people who are out there claiming to be Christian and saying that this is not God's work, you don't know that. What if God put them here to teach us a lesson in compassion and empathy and having an open mind? What if he just put a bunch of people here, all of us, all, tall, short, thick, thin, different colors, as Allie said, purple with pink dots, or sexual orientations. Why are we so threatened by that? Not we, but why are some people so threatened by that? I used to, now I'll admit, even though I'm a proud ally, there were times when I would be with people and, think, oh gosh, do they think that, like older sibling has been my roommate for forever, but I'm pretty sure that half the neighborhood thinks that we're lesbians and don't want to come out. We're not. We are literally heterosexual, and that's fine. And that used to bother me. And then sibling said it one day, and I'm like, you know what? If they want to be judgy, let them. I don't care. I could do worse. You could do worse. But we know. And that's all that matters. The people that love us know. If other people want to judge without asking, that's their problem. Obviously, when I call her my sister, she does not look like me because she's my soul sister. She's shorter, she's blonde, and she has blue eyes. She's probably the only person in this world that I'm taller than besides my cousin. Well, actually, no, that's not true. The cousin I hung out with on Saturday is tinier than me, too. But she's an actual cousin. She's a blood relative. But, I'm straying in 9 directions here. But my point is, worry about yourself before you start worrying about what other people are doing. All right? Here's the thing. We always want to point fingers at people and say, oh, they're bad, they're pedophiles, or this, they're that. Straight people are pedophiles too. All right? The person that traumatized me in my youth was not gay. I'm going to tell you that now. And it was somebody that I thought I could trust in my life. And I was wrong. And because of that, I hid it from my entire family. I hid it from my parents. And then when it finally comes out through some kind of other trauma release, you're hurting your parents too. It's like, we told you, tell us. It's like, I know, but I was already being groomed then, and I was told not to tell. And my dad still asks me that sometimes too. It'd be like, why didn't you say anything? And it's like, well, because they told me not to. And I said, when you get older, they flip the script and they start telling you other stuff. But I don't really see drag queens as a threat, guys. No. I don't see gay people as a threat. Humanity in itself and individual people can be a problem, but not a community as a whole. My abuser was straight, but that doesn't mean the entire straight community has a problem with this. They're individual people. There are serial killers out there, but that doesn't mean everybody in their family is one. It means something went wrong in their brain and they went rogue. We have to stop judging one another. We have to stop hiding behind the Bible or any other religious text. Stop hiding behind it, because I'm pretty sure that whoever you turn your faith to is sitting up there going, are you fucking kidding me right now? What is wrong with these people? Could you misinterpret what I'm saying any further than you already have? And you may be saying to me, well, how do you know? How do you know? I think sometimes we just know things. I think sometimes we are able to remove ourselves from a book of text that only focuses on one general area. Well, I mean, what was going on around the rest of the world? I have a bit of a unique perspective, okay, of my upbringing. My mother was Catholic. My father was raised in a religion that was so that he is basically an agnostic / atheist, depending on the day. And so growing up, I grew up Catholic, but I grew up being told to question everything. You know, like, what's going on there? What's going on there? How come this? How come that? You know, the Buddhists, the Muslims, the Hindus. Oh, there's other religions in this world? Who knew? There's like 1,000 religions on this planet. Like, seriously. And they all might be an intersect of something else. But there are. I mean, we didn't even get to the Norse people, right? So, Native Americans, they worshipped the nature. You know, pagans, they worship nature. And you see, someone will say the word pagan and it's like, oh. But guess what? Christmas and Halloween, those used to be pagan. Easter was a pagan ritual before the church got a hold of it, and Christmas and Halloween, and turned them into religious things. Do your homework, people. Even Valentine's Day was a pagan thing. Not just a Hallmark card thing. No, believe it or not. But yeah, that was a ritual in itself. Ooh. But sexy times. But yeah, so get your head out of the text, get back into your heart, and start being compassionate, empathetic people. I will do my best to do the same. I know I'm picking on some people right now. I'm being judgy. But see, the difference between me and them is I'm openly being judgy. Because I think it's wrong. I don't care if you want to be a Christian. I don't care if you want to believe in God. I don't care if you want to believe in Allah. I don't care if you want to believe in Buddha or whoever the Hindu gods. There are actually several Hindu gods. I don't care. That's your choice. That's your faith. But don't hit people with your religious texts. Yeah, see, even Sammy, who's a Christian. Yep, those Christian holidays started out in another way. They did. And it was to kind of bring in, I mean, the whole idea of St. Patrick's Day is because St. Patrick's went in there and they said to get rid of the snakes. The snakes were actually referred to as pagans. That's right. It wasn't the snakes, guys. It was the pagans. They were trying to get rid of the pagans. So, you know, do thy homework. You know, for me now, St. Patrick's Day, I'm Irish. I actually have a lot of Irish, believe it or not. But I don't, believe it or not, I have a lot of Irish. Being half Asian, Filipino, Hawaiian, and you know, it kind of makes me not look like I have anything else. But I am a hybrid butt. But yeah, now it's just a day about drinking Guinness. I've lost respect for that day because when I read about it and I dug deeper, it's kind of like, oh. I mean, St. Patrick wasn't even Irish. He was British, if I remember correctly. So, I mean, they're all, British. He was English. So, anyways, all right. I've talked a lot. I've talked enough. I'm sidetracking in 5,000 directions here. I'm going to put the number and the 2 articles in the comments. Again, if you're watching this anywhere on social media, my Facebook lives are public, so anybody can watch them. Anybody can read the comments. All right, so you can just pop on there. If you don't have a Facebook account, I can't put them on YouTube because they're not really, they don't link well, but I'll try. All right, so I will do my best to put them in there too, so you can copy and paste it. Okay, so again, have a great day, everybody. Thank you so much for watching. Sammy, Allie, Eileen, Baby Bear. Thank you all for popping on. Sammy and Allie, thank you for your input and the conversation. I really, really do appreciate it. I hope you all have a wonderful, wonderful day. And tomorrow we'll shuffle and get into those affirmators. We'll bring it up to some levity and fun. All right. So again, have a great day, everybody. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you tomorrow.